You are listening to a MetalExpressRadio.com interview. Enjoy.
Okay, Mike, you are back in Metal Church after all these years, and I must say, with a comeback. I mean, your album last year, called 11, was on my top 10 list. It just blew me away. These times must be good for you.
Yeah, they're very good, and thank you very much for that compliment. It makes me feel good, and yeah, it's good to be back.
I actually Googled your name just a few months before it was official that you would come back to the band, and it said you're out of the music business for all that time, for so many years.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, I've since 1994. Yes.
So you were just fed up. You didn't look for another band when you left after the Imbalanced album.
Yes.
And what happened back then?
Yeah. So. Two questions there that I'll answer. Why I left? Yes, the business was ruining the Metal Church band for me. You know, managerial needs and record company pressures and all these pressures were trying to push us in directions that we didn't want to go. And at that age in our lives, we didn't have enough control of what we wanted to do to make them listen to us. You know, so I was kind of like, you know, I've had enough, and I have to step away before the ship goes down, you know, because I really felt we were still writing great material, but all the other aspects of it were hard, you know, and there were some, you know, illnesses in the band. Our drummer was diabetic and struggling with that and things like that. So I left the band, and then getting into another band was really not an option for me, you know, because Metal Church was the band that I loved being in. And so if I couldn't be in a Metal Church, I didn't want to be in a band, you know, in a metal band per se.
Did you ever think about rejoining the band? I mean, this phone call from Kurt, I guess it came out of the blue. Did you ever discuss before whether you should come back or not?
No, it was never brought up because Kurt knew I was serious back in the day, and he'd carried on with the new singer for many years. And yeah, I never ever thought I would be back at Metal Church. It was not in my plan. But when I received the call from Kurt in the fall of 2014, you know, we started talks, and you know, I was open to listening to my old friend and what he had to say about it, and how things were different in the music business, and how we could go about it in our own way with control on every aspect of what we did. And then with the advent of technology and sharing files and the distance between us in the United States, it was capable of sending files and that back. So modern technology helped us in the writing process and things like that. So yeah, we decided to take our baby steps, is what we say. You know, I'm not back in the band yet. We'll just start writing some music and see if that chemistry is still there. And if it is, write some songs and see how that comes out. And if the album comes out well, then we'll take it from there. And ever since that day, things have just gone very well for us, and we feel very grateful.
Did you have contact with Kurt during your years from the band?
Once in a while. Not too often, but once in a while. Yeah.
Did you follow the band? Did you listen to their releases with different singers?
A little bit, but not too much. Yeah, I was kind of out of the metal scene, you know, and just living my life with my family and raising boys and doing my job and listening to many. I'm a music lover, you know, and I like all types of music, and I like researching and finding different genres to listen to, and I think that there's good music in all genres of music, and I like to find that.
So you have learned a lot in the process coming back. I mean, with the new technology, you were talking about sending files back and forth, and how to record albums these days.
Sure.
Or were you into that before?
No, I wasn't into that at all. I you know, when I left the band, we were in the technology of going into a studio, analog, and recording with the band and laying it down like old school, you know. And so coming back, it was, you know, a learning experience for me. And Kurt had been working in the business entirely this whole time and learning technology and computers and all that. So yeah, he's learned to integrate, you know, the sounds of his guitar onto tape, and we edit and work with this technology. It's a great writing tool, is the way we look at it. So Kurt writes basic structures of an entire song, his idea, you know, and then I'll come in, and we'll put down ideas of melodies, and lyrics will come out. And if we get to a spot where, it doesn't make sense in this transition, he can fly in and edit that out like in minutes, and it's a great tool to rewrite the song and do like a post-production as we're writing. So that's a great tool, I think.
How did you work? Did he send you his riffs and you thought of the lyrics and the vocal lines?
Right. So basically, that's, you know, we didn't do in too depth of transferring files. He'd send me things, I would listen. I built a little sound studio in my garage, and it got an interface and a microphone, so I'd sing some stuff on there and send it back to him, and that's cool. But mostly, he just sends me files, and I listen to them and get ideas, and then we get together and we really hash over the ideas together in a room at his studio at his house when we're ready.
Right. It must have been a huge, important decision for you to go back. I mean, you said you've been out of the business for so long, you've been raising your kids, and now you're on tour. I mean, you're away from your family for probably a long time. Was it hard to say yes in the end?
Yeah, it was very hard to say yes. Yes, I was not prepared to, you know, I'm a very homebody type person naturally, you know. I like to be home and with my boys and, you know, and doing my thing. But, you know, this is a really rewarding thing to do in my life, you know, come back. And Kurt and I actually, we felt that Hanging Balance, we had some unfinished business when that record was over. We weren't happy with the way it was recorded, you know, and things like that. So we really felt like we needed to give this a shot and put forth an effort that he and I did our best work that we could at this time, without any producer telling us what to do, without any record company. And we really wanted to have that chance to say, this is what we feel like Metal Church should have sounded like completely from the very first, without any interference. So we'll put this 11 out, and if people don't like it, we can only blame ourselves. We can't use an excuse of, the producer made us do this, or the record company. So that's really where I wouldn't say redemption, but our business and left business was at, you know. So we get to have this chance to do it all on our own, the way we feel Metal Church should sound.
And then I guess you were introduced to a new band for you. I mean, all the guys were new except for Kurt, of course.
That's right.
What was that like?
Well, I went into this project with an open mind and an open heart. Like, I know this is not going to be the Metal Church that I was in 25 years ago, and I'm open to playing with new guys and having Metal Church 2015 and seeing what that's like. And I think when you go into something with a positive attitude and an open mind and open heart, that really great things can come from that, you know? And these guys have been playing together for quite a while as a band, as a unit, just a different singer. So they already had their tightness together, and they already were grooving together. So I just jumped in and started singing. So it was easy for me and easy for them.
Yeah. What was like starting to sing again after so many years? I mean, was your voice kind of rusty? Do you have to practice?
Well, surprisingly not, you know, and that was the big question, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was like, "Oh, can Mike Howe come back and sing like he did before?" And so the suggestion was made that Kurt had re-recorded some older Metal Church songs again, because they were thinking about putting an album out of older songs with their latest singer singing them, and that didn't happen. So he was like, well, why don't we have Mike sing Badlands again? And so we did that, and we released that and said, well, this is Mike Howe coming back, re-singing a song from the past. How's it sound to you? And everyone was very giving me a warm welcome. It was very, very sweet.
You've been touring a lot since the album came out.
Mm-hmm.
What was it, or what is it like being on tour again now compared to back in the days?
It's great. You know, we're a lot older, and we're a lot wiser, hopefully, and we're more mindful of and grateful of where we are today and what we're doing. So each show we go up there with a total appreciation of the crowd and of our band and of ourselves, and just try to enjoy every moment. And I think that joy comes out, and the crowd responds to that, and it just becomes this beautiful, magical thing, you know?
Yeah. Tonight you're supporting Megadeth. I mean, that must be a great package for you. I mean, you probably share a lot of the same fans.
Yeah, and you know, so what had happened, we opened up for Megadeth in the States for a month back last fall. So, you know, they said, we're doing a couple shows over here, and would you like to open up for us? And of course we said, yes, thank you very much. So yeah, we're really happy to be back with them.
Yeah. When Jeff Plate left the band, you had to skip the tour with In Flames and Alter Bridge. I guess that was a bummer.
Yeah, that was a big bummer, you know, and that was a very tough decision for us, you know, because Alter Bridge and their manager, they went out on a limb for us. You know, they offered us the shows, and we said thank you, and this is going to be great. And we started planning these shows, and you know, you don't ever want to let anybody down or ever cancel shows. That's a policy, right? Ever, if at all possible. But at this point, you know, when Jeff left the band, we could have brought in somebody and said, we got to do this right now. But we really approach Metal Church with a new mindset. We don't want to ever be rushed in doing something rash and then playing not at our full potential. So we didn't want. In the end, we decided that it'd be the best to cancel the shows and take that time to look for a drummer who could fill in and you know, be part of the band and do us all justice and the fans justice. So that's what we decided to do.
Yeah. So Stet Howland stepped in. I guess he's a permanent member now. He came from Wasp. Well, at least he was there for many years.
Yeah, and, 16 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking forward, you're touring now. I guess you have more touring. And how far do you look now with Metal Church? You're looking forward to a new album, or?
Yeah, it's very much so. So that's where we're at now. Excuse me. Just like we were in 2014 in the stages of writing songs. So Kurt is an amazing songwriter, gifted talent, producer, recorder, and he's already gone in his studio, laid down tracks for I think at least 18 songs, you know. Not that,
really?
Yeah. Well, so then we go through those 18 songs, and you know, maybe half make it or whatever, and then we make more. So he's got the basic structures of many songs already down, and he's sent them to me over the net, and I've listened to them, and so we've started the writing process. We're just finishing out our obligations of touring this year. So this is a 2-week tour we just started today, and we'll be going home mid-August here, and then we have one more show, as far as I know, back in the States on September 7th at Prog Fest in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're going to play that show, and then we're going to just dedicate the rest of the year to putting these songs together and putting out our follow-up record to XI.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like you have a notebook with you on tour, so when you come up with the ideas for lyrics, you write them down, or do you wait until you get home?
Yeah, it's called an iPhone.
Right. That's a good tool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we're always sitting around. I mean, that's what you do when you're artists and you're songwriters. You sit around and we banter back and forth and throw ideas out just naturally. And if hey, that sounds like a good song title, you know, then someone tell it to your iPhone.
Yeah.
And so we do that.
Yeah.
But we don't purposefully sit down and try to write songs on tour. You know, we need to get in the mindset and sit in the studio and do that. That's how it works for us.
The difference writing back in the 80s and 90s and now, do you think there are only advantages with the new technology, or was something better by jamming together the whole band, or at least the two of you?
Well, that's the thing, is when we got back together, you know, when I said that, you know, wanted to find out if the chemistry was still there between Kurt and I to write, it was, and we wrote exactly how we did back then. He and I getting together in the studio, and him playing his guitar and writing parts, and me singing melodies over there. But the technology today differs, where it's all digital, so he can fly parts out and in if we need a bridge or a chorus there instead, and so that digitally you can move things around a lot easier and faster. Back then you'd have to stop the tape, play it again, put it down, analog sounded great and is a better sound quality, but it's a slower process.
More time consuming.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest highlight so far after you came back with the band?
It's just been, honestly, one big highlight for me. Kurt and I are just, and the rest of the band are all just so grateful for being able to be out here and doing this in our 50s, that's all that sustains us is gratitude, and I think if you have gratitude in your heart in whatever you do in life, you will have joy doing it, and so that's our philosophy. So every tour and that is just amazing because we go out after every show and meet and greet with our fans because we love to do that, and so that to me is just as powerful and equally as good as playing the show, going out and meeting all the fans and shaking hands and taking selfies and talking to them. That's a beautiful thing that I don't know how you get that in any other profession, right?
True. Did you expect this kind of feedback when you came back with the band and you released the album? Were you excited?
Well, we were excited that we were still like bros and our chemistry were there, and our songs that were coming out made us feel energized, and we were like, wow, we feel good about these riffs and these. So that was what felt great, but we had no idea how it'd be received or how the fans would react. So everything has just been, like I said, as we go along, it's just been a great surprise and making us feel great every day that we go out there and play.
I checked out the album you did with Heretic. Well, before you joined Metal Church the first time.
Yes.
What can you say about that album? Were you in the band for a long time?
No, so the story on that is I moved from Detroit, Michigan to Los Angeles with my original band that I ever first joined when I was 15 years old, and we moved to Los Angeles to make it, in the Hollywood scene, and we were a pretty death type metal band, back then, not death metal today, right? It was way different, but so we played the bars in Hollywood amongst the hair bands. It was quite weird. We were like the redheaded stepchild amongst all the hair bands, and we're playing this black, metal, and that it was very hard. But we went at it for a year or so, and then we broke up. And Heretic was one of the other metal bands in the same scene, and they were looking for a singer at the same time as I was leaving the band I was in called Snare, and so it was kind of natural for me to go, okay, well, I'll try it with Heretic, and they had a deal with Metal Blade Records, and so they had a connection to a friend who knew Kurt Vanderhoof, who was looking to branch out and be a producer and engineer because he wanted to learn that field of the music business, and they said, he's interested in coming down and working with you guys and produce and engineer your record with you if you want him. And we're like, of course. Metal Church's founding, member. So that's how we hooked up. So he and I started working in the studio on Heretic's first album, Breaking Point. Not Heretic's first album, but my first album with Heretic, The Breaking Point. And he and I immediately found that chemistry working together with Heretic in the studio, and him working with me and me singing tracks. And after that project was over, I'd only been with Heretic about 8 or 9 months. And so he was, hey, Metal Church is looking for a singer if you're interested. And so I flew up there, tried out for Metal Church. Kurt had this song that he'd written that he was very proud of, and Anthem to the Estranged is what it was called.
Should be proud of that one.
Yeah, and so when I got up there, his main goal was to get me to sing on a 4-track because he had put the music down and he wanted to hear my voice on it. So I did a demo of that song, and then when I was done demoing with him, he said, all right, go play with the guys. And then I went to the studio and practiced with the rest of the guys in the band other songs. And then I went home, and 2 weeks later he called me and said, if you want the lead singing job, you have it. And so that's how I got the Metal Church. And Heretic, they were great guys, and I really liked them, and it wasn't like I wanted to get out of there. It was just like I had an opportunity, and I came to Los Angeles with my childhood bros in a band, and it didn't work out. So going to Heretic was like, okay, more like a business, and I wasn't super attached to them. You know, I liked them, but we weren't like brothers in arms from our teenage years, and I can't lead these guys kind of thing. So it was more, I was getting a little more business sense, I guess. So that's how that happened.
Okay. Well, Mike, thank you very much.